Ooh, are we ready, Philip?
Salutations.
How's everybody doing? I'm back. I gotta sneeze.
Let it out, man. Let it out.
Nope, false alarm.
Oh, it's because you said so.
Yeah.
Can't ruin those good sneezes, man.
How is everybody doing? It's episode 106 of Snakes and Stogies, which is brought to you by Puget Sound Pythons, who are also now doing Reptile News Radio. Please check them out. I'm going to be doing a new show that's going to be talking about sort of current events and not only herpetoculture, but sort of the scientific side of things, other odds and ends. So please check that out. I think the first episode of that is supposed to be dropping here soon. I think beginning of February is what Jeff was telling me they were shooting for.
Excellent.
We'll see how that goes. And BlackBoxCages.com. Please check them out. I know Phil's sort of now in the process of getting his stuff from them.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome. I was actually talking to a couple of our mutual friends who recently got BlackBox, and they're kind of under the radar people. And they're loving them. You know, and just the versatility of the cages. Like, let's just real quick, the versatility of them, the craftsmanship, and then the response that customers and clients of theirs are giving me, like just in chit chat, they're going to build you what you need. You know what I mean?
5 stars across the board, whether it's Facebook or Google. Like being sort of part customer service in a way, like I take a lot of pride in the fact that we have flawless reviews. So
yeah, I just saw a incredible 6-foot enclosure that has tortoises in it. So indoors, it's fantastic. So like sky's the limit with BlackBox, baby.
Absolutely. Cannot speak highly enough of them. Please check them out. BlackBoxCages.com, Facebook, Instagram. Give us a follow, say hi. And there's got some other stuff in the works. So what you see as far as what we have currently for sale, there will be more in the future. It just hasn't been sort of rolled out yet. That's all I'll say. But their racks are definitely the way to go. Cages are awesome. All that good stuff. So what are you smoking on tonight?
So tonight,
you're wearing the hoodie.
I finally, this is the first time this entire winter season I've had the opportunity to wear this hoodie. And it's only 60 degrees, but it's an excuse. So I'm literally I wish you guys could see, I'm in basketball shorts and flip-flops, but I have the hoodie on because like I had to freaking wear it. You know, I've had the thing for months now.
Is it actually cold down there?
No, it's only like 60 degrees. I mean, it was like 50. It was like 50 last night, but yeah, I mean, it got up to like 76 today. So
we've actually gotten to freezing and slightly below. So that's a big deal for us.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't happen often. Speak of the devil. Speaking of ice cold.
There he is. My man.
What's up, guys?
The man who cannot be put down.
Most definitely.
I try.
What's up, Billy Hunt?
Nothing, man.
Silly Billy.
Just trying to get used to this 9 to 5 stuff. That's for the birds,
it's
man.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll take my my shift work any day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I told Anita, and she's like, "See, I've tried telling you. You don't." Hey, what's up, Chris? Yeah. She's like, "I tried telling you, but you don't listen."
Ooh, Burke is smoking an Avo Uvesian Classic number 2. I like the Avo stuff. We have people ask for that a lot, and I actually there's yet to be an Avo that I didn't like. Like maybe some of them weren't exactly mind blowing or anything, you know, life changing, but they were all very, very solid smokes that I would gladly smoke again.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So my tobacconist from my local shop, he wound up going to a different store, and I just, with work and everything, I haven't been able to go see him. So after work, I ran over there today, and I was like, "Look, man, I want some sticks that, like, okay, I'm a creature of habit. I don't take."
Real quick, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to give a big shout out to Dan. Dan hooked your boy up today.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty freaking excited. Yeah.
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 Let's talk about it.
We'll talk about it later. You talk about your stick thing or whatever. And
it's a cigar show, Billy Hunt. We got to talk about what we're smoking. Detail. Anyway,
Details.
I bought a bunch of stuff that I'd
Sorry, I saw Dan.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of stuff that I'd never seen before, didn't even know existed. And one thing that caught my eye, like in tobacco, we always talk about, different types of leaves, different localities of the crop. And one thing that I'm always appreciative is aesthetics, right? And this is a Cinco Nicaragua in a Toro box press, and it's in an aluminum sleeve. Justin, have you seen these before?
Oh, I've seen them online. I haven't actually seen them in person though.
So it's pretty cool. It's like tin or aluminum, and you pop the top off, and then inside is your cellophane, and it's probably one of the nicest box press I've ever seen.
Yeah, sharp edges.
Very, very sharp edges. And I cheated. I already opened this one and cut it because I wasn't going to bring my cutter out here because Lord knows I'd lose it. But just for all you ASMR people.
Oh my God, make it stop.
But even the band itself is phenomenal. It's like a metallic matte. Very impressive.
Yeah, all this stuff's solid, man. I was talking to Raj about trying to get some of that in because that's one brand that we have people ask for a lot. So,
and the name is fun to say.
Avo Cinco.
All right, Billy Hunt. So, how did Dan take care of you?
I got a couple animals from him. That's all.
Well, do you care to share what they may be?
Stop being cryptic, bitch.
Well, gotta have secret projects, right?
Okay, all right. So this is something to be debuted in a future time.
No, I can show you. I'll send you pictures.
Okay.
Where do you want them? Messenger.
Yeah, Messenger's good. I actually, I have a surprise for tonight. I just sent it, so we shall. We'll see.
Sent it where?
I just sent it out into the ether, as Bill Bradley would say.
Jeff knows. Jeff already knows. He's on it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Most important news is I got a mouse pad finally.
Nice.
And it works.
Time, man. Good for
amazingly.
You.
No more struggles with the mouse. It's a Christmas miracle. Hey!
There it is.
What?
That's your surprise.
What's up?
Hey. A long time no see.
Dad.
Yeah, right? Papa Burke.
It's been a little bit.
So I messaged Eric earlier and I was like, hey, man, we're doing Billy's book club. You should be the surprise guest, seeing as how he probably has the most hurt books out of all the four of us combined, or the three of us combined.
Well, now I really don't want to do my papers.
Actually, no, I was excited about the papers because I don't have any more books to talk about.
I don't either.
That's decent. So I was like, papers, hell yeah. I was like, I got me between Billy and I, like he sends me a bunch of cool papers all the time. So it's like we got plenty of those to talk about.
Yeah. So now I get to embarrass myself in front of the Podfather.
No worries.
We're not worthy.
Can't do that. Come on.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
We suck.
As he puffs on a cigar.
Right?
$100 Cuban. Yeah.
I love how he's in his room doing it. Like, kudos to you, sir. Kudos to your wife.
I know.
Right?
Well, she's actually away. So.
Oh.
I smoke my pipe in the house when my wife's out of town too. So right there with you.
Nice. Excellent.
Like if it's going to linger, at least it'll smell good.
Well, real quick before we start diving into the book awesomeness, let me show Billy's pictures he just sent me. Forgive me, my screen share is getting funky.
Well, while Phil is doing that, I am smoking the Alec Bradley Coil La Vega Coil, Coyol. I haven't had it before. Rep gave it to me the other day. He said it's named after there's these little trees, I guess, that grow in these tobacco fields. And that's what they're called, is coils.
Very cool.
Coil.
Ooh.
What are we looking at here, Billy?
Go to the other picture, not the bucket one, but the other one.
I love that snake.
I love lamp.
Oops.
Wait.
He showed me that for the first time the other day. And I was dying.
You need to get that on a shirt. Without a doubt, that has to be a shirt.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh. What is that?
That's
a
M-Pen red stripe
Hooray, beer.
from Pinnell's 2019 clutch. So I already have a female from that clutch. So I guess we're naming her Miss January since she's famous. I was getting that one, and then he was like, "Hey, if you want this, this male too, we figured it out." And I was like, "Absolutely," because I just had that female, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do with her. So now I have two animals with that look that that Mike's been going for, with like the weird granity type of sides and stuff. So I'm really stoked about it. I wasn't expecting it; just kind of happened. You know how that happens. Like, you're not planning on getting anything, and then stuff arises, and there you go. But,
very cool, man.
Very cool. Apparently that's the snake that like escaped for like months a while back. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
When Dan was like, "Oh, I lost it," and then finally found it. So he's like, "Hey, he's a little small, just to let you know." I'm like, "Oh, it's fine." So
that's great, man.
Yeah, just super excited. Wasn't expecting that. And
was there another picture or not?
Here we are. There's just the one with it on the in the calendar.
Yeah.
Let me try and grab that one because this thing's acting weird.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't even realize that was the same snake, and then he kept calling it Miss January. And, so naturally, I mean, you have to go with that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's pretty
cool.
Look,
it has a little bit of that black stripe in the middle that we were talking about.
Yeah, it does. She'll do just fine over here.
I like it.
Yeah. So, shout out to Dan. That made my day on that one. So, thanks, man.
So we want to run through the Smitty's top 10 of 2021 since we forgot to do it last week.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. So if you're in the Snakes and Stogies group, I compiled this little list here of my top picks for top cigars of 2021. The criteria for these is based off the fact that basically you should be able to find them in most retailers, unlike a lot of the lists you see online. And they were picked off the criteria of they were just things that stood out to me over the year. So number one is that La Roma de Cuba Pasión. I have it in the Torpedo. That was the one cigar that once we got it in, I could not stop smoking it. Like I would almost get a craving for it, which is kind of uncommon.
It's fantastic.
It's such a good cigar. So that's number one. I know I've talked about that a lot the last couple weeks on here. That's a cigar that's just been on my regular rotation. I have one right here next to me to smoke after this. Next was number two is Roma Craft, the Neanderthal Grand Perfecto. So y'all already know that I'm a massive Neanderthal fan when it comes to the Roma Craft stuff. It's a nice San Andreas Maduro wrapper. For whatever reason, in that bigger gauge of like a 60 or so, it works really well. I get a little nervous with some of the Roma Craft stuff because when you tend to go deeper or bigger with the ring gauge, the blend kind of tastes a little off. But not the case with these. I actually think it improves the Neanderthal blend. Number 3, this one may be a little harder to find because this was a exclusive release for the retailers who attended the PCA show back in July, and that's the Crown Heads La Patissier. It's a Corona, Lonsdale, whatever you want to call it. Really nice, interesting blend of different tobaccos. I think there's some Peruvian stuff in there, which is a little interesting. Really enjoyed that one. Number 4 was the Aganorsa Salif, Guardian of the Farm, but particularly the JJ size. That's another one I talked about a lot. For whatever reason, it came in 4 different sizes, and that's the one that's kind of in the middle between the Apollo and the other one's called the Campion. That one's nestled right in the middle, and I think that it's like a 52 ring gauge, and I think that's where that blend really works well. So if you can find that one, they're relatively inexpensive. They're like $8.95. It's a fantastic smoke, Corojo wrapper, which I'm all about. Number 5 was the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sin Compromiso. If you can find those pretty much in any size, they're all phenomenal. That's become my favorite of the Saka stuff. Yes. I sent Phil one. He knows what they're all about.
Exquisite.
They're very good. All the Dunbarton stuff is good. It is a little more expensive. I think the Sins start at about $16.95 and go up from there. But
they're
worth every penny.
Exactly. I literally took the words out of my mouth. If I have the chance to get, if I'm spending $16-17 on a nice, Perdomo or Padron, I'd rather get that. To be brutally honest.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a great one. It's a really interesting wrapper too. It's grown a little differently. So instead of the whole plant, Saka basically takes like the bottom 2/3 of the plant and cuts it, like even when they're small, so that all those nutrients and stuff go to that top third. And so you get just absolute powerhouse as far as the leaves and the growth and the tobacco and stuff. So it makes for an interesting and potent wrapper. Number 6 was the Arturo Fuente Reserva Don Carlos. That's a nice Cameroon. I'm not a massive Fuente guy, but I really do like those Don Carlos. That's a fantastic smoke. Tons of different sizes to pick from. They're all solid. So if you see those, give those a shot.
Cameroon is making a killing in tobacco, man. Yeah. I don't mean monetarily. I mean just like the quality of it, you know.
Yeah, it's just the problem is it's such a delicate wrapper. It doesn't handle temperature change, like extreme temperature change, quickly very well. It cracks very easily. You'll be hard pressed to smoke one and it not crack at some point down as you get closer to the end of it. And that's just how they are. That's just the name of the game. It's to be expected pretty much at this point. Number 7 is the Perdomo Habano Connecticut. I put Churchill, but really any of the sizes again. That's probably one of my favorite Connecticut's on the market right now. I'm also not a big Perdomo guy, but I do love these Habano Connecticut's. So that's something that should be easy to find at your local shop. Fantastic smokes, tobacco in those Asian bourbon barrels for about 3 or 4 months before it's rolled. It doesn't really have like a bourbony flavor to it, but it has a very subtle sweetness that I kind of enjoy. I like a little sweetness. I don't like a ton of sweetness. Number 8 was Aganorsa Salif, their Anniversario Maduro. Don't know exactly why it is. I like this so much. It was just a good smoke. I enjoyed it. I smoked a handful of them. Number 9, Plasencia Almafuerte Solomon. This one was interesting because that's a size. Solomons are not a size I typically go for. So basically it tapers. Like it starts out fatter, and then as you smoke it, it gets thinner. For whatever reason, that's just never done much for me. But this Almafuerte is really good. Surprisingly, especially with the sort of the odd shape, whatever you want to call it. Number 10 was my father, the judge in the Corona Gorda. So this is a blend that I really didn't care for in the bigger sizes. So when I saw it in a Corona, I was a little skeptical about it. But it is absolutely phenomenal when you shrink it down into that smaller gauge. That's another one that you should be able to find at most retailers. Most of these you should be able to find. I think the Crown Heads is going to be the hardest one out of all of them to come across. So
do you think that Gorda is it's because they're using less of one thing and less of another, and I don't want to say the blend, but the leaves accent each other better in a smaller size because one isn't overpowering the other and vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't, maybe that is the issue with the blend in the bigger sizes, is that filler and binder for me, like as far as my taste, it just doesn't work. We sell a ton of them. They're very popular. I've given them multiple shots and they just don't do it for me. So I think it is when you shrink it down and you get more deep into that wrapper rather than the filler and the binder. It just works better. It's more concentrated flavor. And then I'll run through these honorable mentions real quick.
Sure.
Oliva Serie V 135th anniversary. That's a fairly recent release. I think those dropped back in December. Nothing different about that blend compared to the other Serie Vs. It's just an interesting shape where once again it starts out really thin and then it gets wider as you smoke it. So it changes up as you go. Starts out stronger and sort of mellows out. Next was the Warped Chinchilla. I really enjoyed that one. I believe that's Warped they're all Dominican blend, which I don't think they've done before. It's not uncommon, but that was a good release. I enjoyed that. Crown Heads, La Imperiosa. I know I've talked about those in the Snakes and Stogies group a good bit. That's a great smoke.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Yeah. My Father, Connecticut. That's another one of my go-to Connecticut's. Really nice, sort of peppery. We call it the Smokers Connecticut at the shop because it is, compared to others like the Oliva Connecticut Reserve and stuff like that, it is a little more punchy. It's got more pepper to it.
Yeah.
And then the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sober Mesa Brulee Blue, which was a limited release that they did. That was also, it's like a Corona and also has like a slightly sweetened tip to it. It's a fantastic smoke. It's the Brulee stuff in general is like dessert in cigar form. It's just really subtle, but really sort of elegant and nuanced and
a bona fide tobacco libation.
Yes. So all of those you should hopefully be able to find at your local shop. It drives me crazy when I see lists and they put like half the list is Cubans and half the list is stuff that they only release like 10 boxes of at $1,000 a box. I think that's absolute crap. Because it's like, hey, this is our number one cigar. You should really try it. And then it's like, oh yeah, you're never gonna find one. So you just have to take our word for it. So I try to make the list based off stuff that A, we sell it at the store, and B, stuff that you can easily find. You should at least be able to find half those cigars at your local shop.
Yeah.
And they're all within a reasonable price range too, because Half Wheel just did their top 25 and half the cigars on that list were like $40 plus. And it's like, come on.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
So it's good shit, man. I love it. I also wanted to chime in that I recently saw something that I had never seen before. And I'm not going to say brand name or anything just because I don't want people to get a bias towards one thing or another. But for those of you who keep your cigars in the cellophane and either age them in the cellophane or age them, or just keep them in the humidor in the cellophane, whatever, you notice they start to discolor with age, which is typically a good thing, right? A lot of times it's like a yellowing or like an ambering of the cellophane. There's a couple companies now that are putting out a brand new fresh cigar in a yellowed cellophane.
Perdomo does that with their champagnes.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to say that, but there you go.
Yeah.
And I just wanted people to know that if you hear that you've learned that, a yellowing of cellophane or an aging is a good thing in one regard or another, just because it's yellow cellophane, don't assume that it's been aged or that it's better than the others or whatever, because people, sales gimmick shit,
We'll take it a step further. That one in particular is a Connecticut wrapper. And with Connecticut wrappers, you're not typically going to see that ambering of the cellophane just because it's a much less oily leaf.
Right.
It's a much lighter leaf. It doesn't have the mixing and sort of
the tannins.
It doesn't have that leaching of oils and mixing of oils, so you're not going to get that amber wrapper or amber cellophane that you'll get with darker stuff. So yeah, they come into yellow cellophane, but it's very clearly like a yellow cellophane. It's not, if you saw it next to like a nice ambered cigar, you'd understand. It's not even close to the same thing. So
yeah. Yep.
But they are very good cigars. It's a very good Connecticut.
Duly noted. So what else is on the agenda, boys, before we start flipping through literature?
I don't have anything.
Nothing?
I don't think so.
What do you got, Phil? You got something?
I don't got nothing. I brought Burke. That was my something.
All right.
I get to
Am
wear
I
my
supposed
hoodie.
to say something?
No, I don't know. Just figured it. I know that
Billy will be on NPR tomorrow. How about that?
there's one thing.
Hey,
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah. Excellent. Can't wait to listen.
And
Yeah.
Rob
it's a good
Stone
time.
was on Colubrids and Colubroid Radio, which will be out Wednesday, which is a
Ooh.
phenomenal episode.
Excellent.
is it
Nice.
just them and Rob,
Nice.
or is there somebody else?
Yep. No, just them and
Oh
Rob.
man, yeah, that's
That's
become one
they
of my
call-
favorite podcasts. Man, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're a different level of nerd, man.
Take it to a whole new level. I just think it's fantastic that there's been so much brumation talk, and obviously their brumation episode is, I can confidently say, one of the greatest podcast episodes of in our community ever, just because it covers so much stuff, But it is cool to we all get the gears turning, and talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
doing it one way, doing it another, not doing it at all, whatever it may be. So it's very
Yeah, that's another one I forgot. Yep, the Short Tail podcast.
yeah.
Strictly Shorties. It's now up on Apple. I know in the thing she says
Awesome.
it's not, but yeah, April kills it. And that episode was done like a month ago, and they had technical difficulties. So that's good too.
We know
Keith
about
McPeak.
that all too well.
Yeah, don't we?
I was surprised when I posted pictures of the Loma Alta Bears in the NPR chat, and Keith was like, "Set aside some of those for me."
Yo, I talk about that at the beginning of NPR tomorrow, that you broke Owen and it was your master plan to take over because he has them now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
only got
hilarious.
bears?
Yeah.
Oh man, when did I?
Yeah,
miss
he
that?
did. He didn't. Well, he didn't explain it. He didn't give me any context. He just sent me pictures. He's like, "These were just dropped off to me. I want to make sure they are what they told me they were." And I figured
Right.
I'd ask an addict before I asked anybody else.
Nice.
I was like, "Yeah, they're bears." I was like, "They're really nice ones too." And he's like, "Good. I'm gonna hold on to them." And I was like, "Good.
Yeah.
Then my plan is working," is what I told him. They were planted. It's not a
The
mistake.
behind the scenes message was, "These are really cool. I think Justin was right."
Little does Owen know that Justin actually slipped a Walt Whitman Bridge bum selling pretzels $20 to go give him these bag of snakes.
Oh,
I got a bag of rolled gold and some 20 with your name on it if you can drop these off.
Oh man,
They are very nice bears, though. It's a nice looking pair.
good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I was gonna say is, Billy, what's the temp by you? Because didn't you have ice on your windshield this morning?
I was stranded 10,
Stranded?
15 minutes this morning. Yeah, I couldn't leave. I was almost late to work. I'm not used to this. So
What happened?
I go outside and there's ice everywhere. I'm like, okay, I could just wipe it off. It's usually not anything crazy. No, this was on there.
Well, they have this
So,
thing called a defroster,
Yeah, but it doesn't
Yeah.
work fast. It's not a fast acting fix.
It takes about 15
Yeah.
15 minutes. Yeah, I found that out.
Yeah, you
And
got to warm the car up.
The problem is it's
And-
really a problem here, so we don't have windshield scrapers for ice and stuff. So it's we just have to sit there and wait.
you guys are amateurs, man.
Just what I did.
Well, I've seen maybe
It's been
I
like
didn't-
2 degrees here.
Oh,
maybe
jeez.
maybe it's
Yeah,
because
you
of
can have that.
social maybe it's because of social media, but I've been seeing so many videos of people that just don't know about ice pouring hot water on their windshield. And
Oh,
they're
that
like,
doesn't
look,
work?
they're like, look, it's working. And I'm just watching this. I'm like, there's a reason why they're filming this. You know what
Yeah,
I
right.
mean?
Wait for it.
Wait for
At least
it.
I knew that much not to do that. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then I saw another guy that he's like, yeah, man, my door's frozen shut. So I'm just going to pour some hot water in the crack. And you just watch that window start to just twitch. So I've got 3 books that are new to me. I probably have some more that I'm forgetting, but Justin and Billy are bringing a bunch of papers for Billy's book club tonight. So do you guys want to just do the round robin like we always do? And I mean, Papa Burke has like a giant stack he showed me, so that's scary. But do you guys want to just do the round robin thing, or do you want to do the papers first, or how do you want to do this?
I feel like me and Billy's papers are probably going to be the same ones because we bounce a lot off each other. But there's one in particular that Dr. Messenger sent me a while back that I have to find because I don't know if I saved it or not.
Okay.
I'm sure we got different stuff.
Nice.
We'll be good.
But
all right,
let's do round robin.
Let's
just keep it the same template.
All right, so Smitty's going first.
Go ahead, Phil.
Phil, you go, not me.
All right. Well, so I couldn't remember if we talked about this book on air or if like I showed it or we just talked about it because of the stiletto snake bite report that we did a few months back. But I have the edition Chimera,
the African and Middle Eastern burrowing asps and their allies. It's pretty awesome. And they're very boring snakes.
I was going to say, it's amazing they can make a book that thick about those things.
And that's the thing is, it not only is it about stilettos themselves, but like their allies. So like the harlequin snakes and stuff like that. It's, biology, venom, and envenomating. It's incredible. Just the morphology, the physical attributes. I mean, yeah, scale counts and stuff are cool, but just all the different samples and locality specimens. And it's just an incredible book. It even goes into the different habitats. And like, I'm fascinated with stiletto snakes, and I plan on keeping some in the near future. So to me, this was like a quintessential book that I had to have. But going into other species that I didn't even know existed, the harlequin snakes are cool and stuff, but I didn't know like what was in depth in their, in the whole genus and species. Excuse me. So, and some of the pictures are just incredible. Some stuff that so here's a Cape wolf snake, which is not venomous, but they're showing it because it's prey and it's a mimic.
Oh, wow.
Like super cool stuff, man. And of course, edition Chimera, everything is to the T and referenced out the wazoo. And just some of the animals. I mean, yeah, most of them are black, but like this one here is quill-snouted snake. The waterbird quill-snouted snake. Let's see if I can get this closer.
Oh.
What happened? That's a rosy boa, bro. Which localities are?
Man, hold on. Let me find you a good-looking harlequin. Hold on.
What, crested gecko?
And like just the dentition. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, that's gnarly.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let me find you a harlequin, a good-looking harlequin. This is something you don't see every day. So here's a spotted harlequin, and they document the full bite from envenomation all the way through hospitalization.
Okay.
The swelling and all that. So yeah, if you're interested in this genre of snakes and stuff that you don't normally see or that you've never even heard of, this is a super cool book if you can find it. And if you like stilettos, man, this is the book. Of course, now that I mentioned all these harlequins, I can't friggin' find them.
Yeah, it looks like it goes really in depth on everything about them.
Literally everything. I'd love to know how long it took them to do this book, because I feel like the guys that wrote this, like this is their life's work,
Possibly, yeah.
And then it goes into actual bites of different species.
Oh, wow.
And it's super interesting because there's very little to no fatalities, but the damage is just horrible damage. And it's always people wrong place, wrong time. And there's so many mimics in southern Africa and in eastern Africa that everyone thinks it's a purple gloss snake, or they think it's a Natal black snake, or whatever it is. And they pick it up and it doesn't go so well. So
yeah, we need to get Mike on here one night.
Yeah.
Mike Clarkson. He got nailed by one years and years ago. Could talk about that. But I mean, I'm sure he's probably told that story about a million times, so he's probably exhausted with it. But still, he'd be a cool guy to have on just because of all the travel he's done. And
100%.
And he smokes cigars too. So
nice. Yeah, that's right. He's in our group chat. So yeah, this is my first pick of the evening, and I'm gonna find this picture if it kills me. I know, riveting, captivating entertainment.
Woo.
I can't wait to see it, Phil.
This is what happens. I build up the suspense. I talk a big game. I show it to you, and then
Probably not even in that book.
And then it's a fucking rosy boa.
I was gonna look up a rosy boa real quick, but I won't be that guy.
I feel like the 4 or 5 pages I'm looking for are just glued together from being on the bookshelf. And
I wasn't sure where you were going with that for a second.
Here we go. All right.
Well, while we wait, Billy, how's your season going? You've been pretty busy. Oh yeah, are those the centipede eaters?
No.
Oh, that's cool. That was worth the wait, Philip.
Yep. And then here's because Billy likes stripes.
Rumor has it.
So this is a spotted or southern harlequin, and I mean spots are cool, but dude, look at these stripes.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
That is pretty cool.
I'm down with that. Yeah.
So yeah,
nerding out hardcore.
I like it. Good stuff, man.
So those are considered relatives, though?
Awesome.
Yeah. The
That's interesting.
I think there's like 6 or 7 species that are in that same, genetic tree, but in terms of Atractaspis as a genus, I think there's 14 or 16 individual species. Let me see. Hold on. Well, I'm wasting time. You guys can Google it, Wikipedia it, buy it on Amazon. I've been made fun of.
Figure it out yourself.
Go to the next person. I'm done.
Billy?
Oh my gosh. I'm next. All right. So first one I'm going to do. So this is more highlighting like a website that I came across. I am going to butcher his name. But it is what it is. Roy Arthur Blodgett? The Spilotes sulphureus guy?
Yeah, Blodgett.
There we go. So he does a ton of work with Spilotes sulphureus. So like the big yellow Amazon bird-eating puffing snakes, whatever. They have like 1,000 common names. So he just moved all his information to make sure I got it. I think it's Wellspring
Herp.
Wellspring herpeticulture.com. So pretty much he just did a whole thing on keeping them, just husbandry, all that kind of stuff. It's just all stuff. But he keeps them in huge enclosures. He keeps them in basically like biotope type of situations, kind of like guys do with with aquariums, you know, so like he tries to keep stuff to if they're from a certain area, he only uses those plants. He only uses, you know, stuff from that area. So just going through everything. Yeah, that's the website. So if you go to Husbandry Resources, there we go. It's going to make this so much easier. Yeah, so there's one of his cages, which is just incredible.
Spilodies cages.
Yeah, so just with all the different branches, all the plants, he has videos of him drinking out of bromeliads. He's just doing really, really awesome stuff with that species. And just going through the natural history and all that. Like this isn't a species that is really a lot is known about. Honestly, outside of him and Jason Hood, I really don't know many people that are actually working with them and trying to learn more about them. So it's really, to me, because I've got an interest in the, you know, the big South American colubrid stuff, especially as of late. So when I came across this website and all this stuff, I nerded out on it. Like there he has his plant list.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've never seen anybody do that before. Especially as popular as plants have been. Yeah, as popular as plants have become, like that's kind of the stuff people are going to be wanting now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then that, you know, you can definitely take multiple hobbies and put them together. I mean, there's nothing cooler than that. But yeah, just the amount of information he has on these animals that are just, you know, relatively unknown is that what is Bill saying? Yes, exact. So Cohab does all that kind of stuff. So he's just doing really cool stuff. So Roy's doing awesome. He's got other resources too on the website. He did like a blog type of situation where he just kind of talked about like how he would quarantine imports that would come in, how he would treat them, just different things he was trying, you know, with them and stuff. And so if you're interested in Spilodies at all or South American snakes, definitely go to this site and check it out. Roy is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure he doesn't mind people. Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah. I like that stool he has in front of the cage.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got a lot of miles on that thing.
Yeah, see, we had him on the show a while back, and I appreciate what he does. Like the lengths he goes for these, you know, the handful of species he focuses on, which isn't a ton. He's not like a lot of us that have, you know, 5+ different species they're working with. He's like hyper focused pretty much on these right here. So tricolor hogs, I forget what these were called, and then the Spilodies. But he keeps them in those super elaborate, the monkey lizards. That's what it was. He keeps them in these really nice setups and stuff, but he's not the type that's going to like force it down your throat if you're not doing that. And so to me that, you know, I like the fact that he's like, hey, if you work, you know, if you keep stuff in racks and you're keeping things in a simple manner, like that's cool and all too. But that's just how he likes to do things. I just like the fact that he's not like cramming it down your throat that you need to be doing what he's doing.
Yeah, he's not the elitist that says, oh, you don't have a 12 foot by 12 foot enclosure, then you don't have a business doing it.
Yeah.
Super cool, man. And mad props to the enclosures.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, he's doing it right.
Ooh, boy, that's just South American Jansen right there.
Yes, sir.
Just a tad bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason put an adult in my hands at one of the Tampa shows. Holy crap, man. There's something about those really big arboreal colubrids, like when you're holding them, it's different from anything else, you know. And when they're 9-10 foot, it's incredible.
And I feel like
it's hard to explain.
I feel like when you get a big one like that, like people that have held pythons is totally different. People that have held, you know, big crebos, it's totally different because you have that size, but you don't have that weight. It's almost like they're more airy. I mean, obviously they have a heaviness to their body, but there's so much more nimble, if that makes sense.
They're not as dense.
They're not as dense, yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I think it's cool too how, like, if you see his adults, they have more of the, like, they change from the look that his babies have with like the pastel colors going there, and they kind of change into the more golden brown, sometimes olive green to, you know, that color where there's a little yellow and it's mostly black. And then Jason's babies seem to be darker as babies, and then as they get older, they get a lot more vibrant yellow to them. So I've always wondered if that was like a locale thing or what. I've asked Jason about it, and he's like, I don't know. There's his are that color, mine are that color. So I don't. Nobody's really looked into it too much, but I'm sure it has to be a locality thing, because especially with how variable things are down there in different areas.
Oh yeah, you know, foothill to foothill. Super cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
That could be it. Well, that seems to be what most of them that are coming in now seem to look like the ones Roy has. So
yeah,
it's possible that's, you know, the ones from Suriname and the guy in a shield and stuff. So that would make a lot of sense.
Very
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
that's how it's done.
I guess I'm up.
Yeah.
So for me, I have some books here, but since we're going to be doing a lot of herping again in the U.S. this year, we're going to Southern California, Arizona, trying to get back down to Florida, going to do some more in Pennsylvania. I'm obsessed with rattlesnakes.
Yeah. The book.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've been getting into that. Also working on the timber rattlesnake show for Student of the Serpent. This book has helped a lot. So very cool book if you're into rattlesnakes. The Venomous Etiquette. No, the venomous. Why am I drawing a blank on the name? Venomous
Exchange Radio.
Yeah, that's it. Is so many podcasts I can't keep up. Anyway, that last episode, you know, the sucking thing about all these podcasts coming out is like you hear people talking about it and you get excited about it and then want to either work with it or know about it or so rattlesnakes.
Excellent. It's all nipper, man. It's all nipper.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, dude. Just sticking Willardy down your throat, you know. That's another thing. I used to say Willardy, and then I start hanging out with him, and it's Willardy. And now I say it naturally now, which is it's annoying.
He's burned into my brain so bad whenever I hear anybody on anything say niche.
Yes.
I go, nah.
Mm-hmm. That's it, man.
I hear him saying, "Oh, mate, what are you doing?"
Isn't it funny though how like him getting excited about like U.S. rattlesnakes sort of almost gets you pumped just as much because like you
100%.
realize what you've got and that you're not appreciating it enough.
Yeah, 100%.
Because of him, I have picked up every single ribbon snake I've found in the past year. When normally I'd be like, "Oh, it's another ribbon snake. Would scoot it off the road, keep driving, keep walking." No, now I'm like, Nipper would be proud.
100%.
Is it my turn?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go to the screen share because this paper is probably one of my favorites from last year. And it is about that new species of Elaphey that I know we've talked about it on here, but it talks about the mimicry of the Protobothrops jordani.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can scroll down to the picture. So basically, they found this species and the similarity to it and those Jordan's pit vipers are just.
And this is the one that Doc Messenger sent you, right?
Yeah.
Incredible. Look at that head.
Given how much I've come to love Chinese Elaphey, you know, these things are freaking amazing, man. Like I would own these in a heartbeat. And these are interesting because their dentition is considerably different from others in that same genus, like their relatives.
Right.
Like some of their rear teeth were more bladed.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Dude, 21st century, man. Killing it.
See if I can find more of the pictures of the
Oh,
snakes themselves. But yeah, so they had, where was it? I think it was these rear teeth right here that they were talking about were unique because they were just larger and sharper, but it's not they're not a venomous or rear fang species.
so they have no Duvnoy's glands?
No, not that I recall. And I mean, they look just like the others in the genus. There's just the colors and patterns just mimic this Protobothrops so well. It's almost eerie. Like it's very hard to deny that those things are mimicking those. So this is just a phylogenetic tree.
It has side-by-side comparison photos with Giordani, right?
Yeah, somewhere. I'm scrolling down.
Okay.
Maybe not. There was a website I was just on earlier that showed a better picture of it, but
I just had a Hemidactylus run across my foot.
Nice.
Yep.
Let me see if ears.
Welcome to Florida.
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah, so that's the Protobothrops right here. That's the actual rat snake. And I know like these pictures don't really do them justice, but if you saw them in better lighting.
Yeah, and I feel like they picked a Protobothrop specimen that was lighter and didn't have as much burgundy to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel
but
like
look, I mean, they're even like, I think that's a black speck that mimics that pit too, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless they put that there. I could be wrong, but it's just crazy how much it looks like those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the eye stripes. Yeah. Yeah, man, they got the most green Giordani they could find. Like they're usually, I mean, at least the ones that we see in our hobby, there's so much more red and burgundy. So
yeah, that is that coloring. Look at that. So it's got a colored scale. And I mean, it could have just been this one individual, I guess, because I don't see it on the other side here. But yeah, I mean, it's wild. Like the reds that you see on those Protobothrops. You know, it's that same burgundy. Just, I don't know. It was just one of the coolest finds, I think, as far as herpetofauna, worldwide. It was one of the neatest discoveries that we've seen in a long time. And it's something as simple as just, an Elafe, but it's bizarre to see something mimic something so well like that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this was not a species that we had known about for years and years. And
no, this is like new.
Just like they found it.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Even better.
And this is the kind of stuff I like too, because it's kind of hard to disagree with it.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like a brand new species. And it's like, yeah, it just so happens to look exactly like a Protobothrops that shares that same, area with it. It's not like the rhino rat thing where there's people that are like, yeah, I don't know if I buy the new, Hainanensis or whatever in rhino rats. This is sort of undisputed. It's its own thing. There's no mistaking it.
Now I know Giordani has a fairly wide range. It's not like isolated or whatever, but is the rat snake in the same exact range, or is it even is it sequestered even more?
If I recall, and I'd have to read over this again, I think it was actually in a very small pocket.
Okay.
But also talking to Dr. Messenger, one of his buddies, I think, is actually the one that did this study. Talking to Dr. Messenger, he says the terrain there's so hardcore in some areas that he's like, there's all kinds of stuff we just don't see because the terrain is just unmanageable. You can't. You can't.
I remember he showed us those pictures, and man, just like thinking about the worst terrain I've ever herbed, and those Chinese mountains, man, is crazy, crazy. So
let me see if I could find some more information on it. Phil, you can go with your next one if you want. You struggling? You good?
Yeah, I'm trying not to burn my microphone.
So
I've got a couple burn marks on mine. It's fine, man.
Yeah, adds character, right? So my next book is a very unique book. So this book was a gift to me from the one and only Mr. Nipper Reed. And I'll try not to butcher this name, but it says Les Serpents d'Afrique Occidentale et Centrale from Jean-Philippe Chapau.
That's cool.
So those of you who don't speak French, it's the snakes of Central and Western Africa. Nipper sent me this because he thought I would love it, and I legit do. The entire book's in French, but the pictures and the gist of the scientific data that's in there is completely comprehensible. So I mean, here's just like I just opened like the first page and just like the photos of some of the stuff. It's just absolutely incredible. Species you didn't even know existed. Let me find some more stuff. And it goes into dentition and scalation and, the original taxonomic nomenclature from years and years ago and how they've updated over the decades. And even though it is in French and a lot of it, you can totally understand what they're driving at. And I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could take pictures and put it in Google Translate and just, do the whole book if I really wanted to. But the choice sections of certain species, because scientific name is uniform across the planet, So certain species that I just looked up, and you can tell by the numbers, you can tell by the graphs and the grids and everything what's what. But it even goes into like, elaborate drawings of like, the reproductive organs and maps of where things are. And it's just an incredible book, despite it being in a language. And this is actually the first time I've ever got a book that is only in another language. So it's not like I could get the English version, And it's just an awesome book. If you like African species, especially in some of these countries that, we get imports from, and you don't even know this stuff exists there. How many times people get, ball pythons from Benin? Well, there's like 40 or 50 different species in just Benin that we don't even see ever. It's never in the trade or in the community or the hobby for that matter. So super cool. Covers all of West Africa from, Canary Islands all the way south to, I believe, Democratic Republic of Congo. Just an awesome book. So if you're interested in something unique, I'm sure you could find it somewhere on the interwebs, but be warned, the entire book is in French. So
very cool.
So I'm not seeing any range data for those, and it's probably, I don't know that they ever released it, because I'm sure if they did, people would be out there trying to find some to smuggle out of China.
Of course. Absolutely. Of course.
Stupid humans.
Billiam.
All right. So my next one was actually, I've been looking more into like older papers and stuff. One, I'm just noticing the stuff that I'm interested in is it seems to just have been studied, like decades ago as opposed to now. But this was in '94, and this paper follows 10 years of breeding Maclots. So it actually helped me a lot last year when I bred my Maclots for the first time, and it just goes into a lot of just your your usual conditioning. It's got good pictures to go with it. There's your Fuscus, Philip.
Oh yeah, look at the red and orange in that.
Oh yeah,
awesome, man, dude. I can't wait for mine to get bigger. Oh, it's gonna be.
I know. We'll get more of them.
Oh yeah,
but just like this kind of stuff, it's basically the 10 years of them, breeding and how many eggs they got, fertile, infertile, all the usual data that people get, and then just going into how to get the babies going and all that. They made it seem a lot easier in the paper than it ended up being for me, but still it's a really good reference. I looked at it a lot. I'm still looking at it, breeding these guys.
Who wrote it?
And it definitely helped a lot. So it's from Literatura Serpentium. It looks like it was probably German. Yeah. So this is like a translated one. But yeah, so
that was released
I think that was
the
a
90s.
94.
And you find a lot of the information still
94.
relevant, though?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you get them to breed 30 years ago, you can get them to breed now. It's still the same animal. It's not like it's a different animal. So that's one thing I've tried to, hone in on, is that just because it's an old paper doesn't mean that there's information that's not, valid in there. Even if it's so old that, they got antaresia and liasis like they used to, like they could still have good stuff on those species in there.
A lot of that older stuff sometimes I think gets written off because people think that there's nothing relevant in there. Of course, I'm going to take it back to
exactly.
chondros. The papers that they wrote on chondros, 40 years ago, I'll read, but still take it sort of with a grain of salt because of how much things have changed with how we do those. So,
yeah, for sure, you got to go through the, the good and bad with it. But I found, because this is literally just a study on actually producing these guys, what is tried and true, and they did it for a decade to get 8 pages of information. So they definitely put the work in to see what was going to work and stuff. So this is definitely one that aged well, for sure.
A legit study.
Yeah. So 10 years of breeding Liasis maculae.
Nice.
Maclets. Are we still doing that? You finally get over that, or
we never did it?
Maclets.
You know what? I deserve that by bringing it up. So sorry. Sorry.
You do.
It was gone. You brought it.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah,
God, Burke, are you wearing a Dunder Mifflin shirt?
I am.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's awesome. I thought you were earlier. I saw the Dunder and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
What's funny is Billy, every time I go over to Billy's house, Billy has a Dunder Mifflin shirt. And I keep telling myself I'm going to steal it, but I always forget.
I have that series on repeat at work. Like, it drives the customers, the regulars, crazy because it's like all I watch at work is The Office.
I'll just give it to you if you want it, Phil. You don't have to steal anything. Jeez.
So if anybody knows, I have recently got the monitor itch, and this book, it's a book of Australian monitors by Gunther Schmiede. It's got some, of course, I opened right up to the Kimberly Rock.
Look at that.
But
dude, you got me wanting Tim's bad.
It's the memory of the book. Yeah.
Oh, they're so cool. Yeah. I mean, it's like just put right. I mean, so if you're into like setting up the naturalistic enclosures and stuff, it gives you a good idea what that looks like. Of course, I want to herp Australia in the worst way. So, taking all this time off to research, because I don't think that when I went there before, not having monitors, I didn't appreciate some of the monitors that we saw. And now that, except for the Mertens, they were just badass. But, now having them, you get a whole different appreciation when trying to herp for them, so.
Do you know when you're going to be able to go back there again? Like, is there any signs of them opening up in the next, year or so, or is there any word?
Me and Rob were talking about it. I don't think it's going to be till 2023. So that's why we kind of booked America again for 2022. But
Yeah.
who knows? Things could change like that. So I'm hoping. But yeah, great. The thing with this though is you have to go to Blurb, and they print it out. It's like one of those type of deals, but they print it out, when you order it, or you can get an electronic version of it. They also have a snake one. There's a gecko one. There's a dragon one.
So Blurb is like a U.S. company or no?
Yeah.
That's like what we used for the magazine. It's like a subsidiary of that. We used MagCloud, but it was owned by Blurb. So, but how's the print quality on it? Is it decent?
Oh, it's great, man.
Yeah.
The pictures are fabulous. I mean, it's not like
I've been watching you, Stevens, and your Kimberly eggs. Damn it.
I'm telling you, dude, they're so cool.
I just want the Ackies and those. Like that's where I'm drawing the line. I'll get a Kim or two, and I'm good.
Okay.
I swear, I'm good. I physically don't have the space.
Katie's going to go out back one day, and Justin's just going to be like 4 or 5 feet in a ditch with a shovel digging. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, Goldie. It's got to dig the trench.
I'm putting in a new badminton net. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, right.
I think that for me, the cool thing, right, is because I focus a lot on Australian stuff, and it's been cool that to sort of have species that are both diurnal and nocturnal. So I sort of have whereas opposed if you were just keeping snakes that are all nocturnal, you might not get excitement during the day, but get a couple monitors, a couple geckos, you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's also super cool that, think about how you would have been if you had, the Ackies and the Kims back when you went. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I talk to Rob about that often, that I regret being so hyper focused on finding a specific, like just pythons, that overlooking. I have to relive it. I mean, I remember seeing it, but it wasn't the same as when you found a python.
I mean, how badass would it be to see Stropherus in the wild? Doing the threat display.
I did.
Dude, I have these.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I saw it and it was just there on a stick, and we were just like, "Oh, that's a cool gecko."
Yeah,
and
you go to take a whiz in the bushes, and all of a sudden you get these geckos shooting back at you.
Yeah,
I ID'd a stick that I thought was a blackhead, and that's what drove us out of the car and found this gecko. But we were focused on this blackhead stick.
I'm getting some of those at some point too. I don't know when, but those are happening without a doubt. I'm not going to be like Jake where I want everything. I just want my Stropherus and the Kims.
Is there a specific species you want, Justin?
I don't know yet. I know there's only a handful of them in the U.S., so I gotta find the right people. I know Justin Meeker breeds them. I know Dustin Gron has, I think, a Williams eye.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure yet, but they're too damn cool, and from what I've heard, they're really easy to keep. They're not difficult at all. So, and now that I'm dealing with
I feel like I've been seeing them more often.
Yeah.
What's that?
I've been seeing them the past year or so. I've been seeing them more often at shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're definitely getting out there.
Good handful of them at Daytona. And Eric, you got your Arturo from Gron, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're cool too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's weird how I've switched back to where I was in the beginning of when I was a little kid, how everything sort of fascinated me. Then I went through where you're super hyper focused, and then sort of swing back around again.
I feel like everyone kind of goes through that at some point or another, though.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you're young and you go through that party phase, and then as you get older, you know what you like and what you want to do on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Miguel talks about those emerald tree skinks. My dad's bred them twice already.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. He has this big group of them. It's pretty cool.
Those ones with a really long tail, right?
Well, they're just basically like this emerald green skink that's maybe about that long.
Okay, I'm thinking of something different. Yeah, there's another emerald lizard I'm thinking of where its body is like this big, but the tail makes it almost 3 feet long.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Don't listen to Casey in the chat either. He's bitter right now.
Yeah. Casey's got to get glass half full.
I tried to get him to hop in. He won't do it.
Oh, really?
He said he doesn't have his laptop. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's somehow in the chat. Weird. StreamYard
Right.
works with a phone cannon. Not fooling anybody.
So
Is it my turn?
who's up? Is back to Smitty?
I think.
I think it's Smitty, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So this is a paper that I've actually referenced a handful of times now that I have them. And it was one that Billy sent. And it is The Natural History and Captive Care of the Dion's rat snake.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's a good one.
I was actually
Yeah,
going to ask you: is it Dion's or is it Dionis? How is it supposed to be? Because it's
I
not.
looked it
It's
up.
not scientific. It's like a
I've-
guy's name, right?
It's like some Greek mythology sort of deal. Stone calls them Diones. I call them Diones. I've looked it up a few times on YouTube to see how people are pronouncing it, and it sounds like it's fairly interchangeable between those two.
Okay.
But this and there's another paper on Bimaculata that Billy sent me, and I've referenced those, at least the breeding section, multiple times to see, because they have to get cold to breed. Like you have to get them down into the 50s for a consistent period of time to get anything to happen with them. So I've read through this and the other one a handful of times just to make sure I'm getting things right, and hopefully they'll go. I don't, as squirrely as the weather's been, I'm hopeful, but I'm not expecting them to happen. But
And dude, look at those enclosures. Can you go back up to them real quick?
yeah.
Dude, not what I was expecting. Super cool.
Dude, the range on these things is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking literally from, like, as far as Eurasia goes, that whole plot of land, you're talking about a band that goes literally from one side to the other and then into China. Like, it's ridiculous. There's so many localities of them. It's insane.
It's like a Asian price eye.
Most always calls them the Asian corn snakes, right?
Probably. I mean, there's so much variability in them too. I mean, there's different morphs. There's all black ones. There's stripes. There's reds. There's, See, there's a Mozdok, which I'm assuming is some sort of Russian area. They're awesome little snakes though, and they're really interesting because they have a really long gestation period, and then they drop their eggs, and their eggs hatch after like not even a month. So they hold on to their eggs forever, and then they drop them, and then they hatch.
Super cool.
Yeah, they're cool snakes, man.
I'm hoping I can get some more out of them. That Beijing female I have that I got from Zach is, I think she's pretty old because I lost the Siberian female randomly. I remember y'all talking about that, and I think she was just, they were old snakes, and I think it was just her time. So, so this Beijing female, I'm sure she's probably just as up there in age. So I'm hoping I can get a clutch out of her, or two, before her time comes too, and keep them going. I have the lone baby that Zach hatched. He sent that to me as well, and that one's growing like a freaking weed. So those are going to be fun. I'm really excited about the Bimaculata in particular, just because those are smaller and they're, I don't know, I find those to be a little more interesting. But they're all cool. They're neat snakes.
How big are yours?
So my female Dion's is probably about the size of an adult corn, maybe a little shorter, a little stumpier. The males are about half that size, or he's about half the size of her. And then the Bimaculata, the female, is probably about the same size as the male Dion's.
So like 15 inches or so?
Yeah, maybe 20 inches, maybe, give or take.
Like about as thick as your thumb?
Yeah.
That's a cool species, man. just watching people keep them in relatively easy enclosures. You know what I mean? It's not something because of the size. I feel like it's just relatively a convenient species, if that makes sense.
They'd be a fun one to keep in sort of a if you did something that sort of mimicked their habitat, that sort of temperate forest kind of deal, like you saw in some of the pictures with like pine needles and stuff. I may at some point talk to Jen about getting another cage and doing that. That would just be cool. So
even if you did like a large Cambro type rack and you just had like a rack of mini emergers, you know?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
But those bimaculata, like I said, they're about half the size of the Diones, and apparently they're proven breeders according to Loafman. So, which is surprising because they look small, and I was like, "Are you sure these are as old as you told me they were?" He said, "Yeah." He's like, "They're good to go." So, we'll see.
Very cool, man. Very cool. So I'm up.
You're up.
All right. So I think we've covered this book before, but I've been putting off buying it just because like so many books that are like, you know, you prioritize, and I knew it was a sign. It was an omen. Anna Marie and I went to Barnes and Noble, right? And they never really have good herp books. Like they just don't. It's usually like the
field guide,
field guide, the laminated pamphlet, you know, or it's the coffee table book that's like Snakes of the World and it has, you know, a blood python on the top, and that's about it. But I was just cruising through like natural history type books and stuff, and this literally was like half sticking out, and I was like, "What is that?" And I just saw a little bit of the cover, and I pulled it out. It was a sign. It was an omen. The Field Herping Guide from Mike Bingleton and Josh Holbrook.
It's a good book. I have it.
Yeah. There it is. There it is. I knew it was a sign.
I wish I had it, but just put it on.
Dude, and like two guys that know their shit wrote a conveniently sized, easy read, you know, and I found it at Barnes and Noble, and like that just made it, you know, and it covers every aspect of field herping. I mean, road cruising and flipping tin and wading through creeks and
moon cycles.
Moon cycles, everything. It's just phenomenal. I mean, you know,
that's the Phil, that's the perfect book if you are you hear a lot of people talk about field herping, but one of the things that always stopped me from doing it is not knowing where to go, you know, how do you find the spots, you know, like, because it just seemed like if you don't have a sort of a plan together, you're just kind of wandering aimlessly. You know.
Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it, because like it made me think as I like started flipping through the book, like in Barnes and Noble, I was thinking to myself, what did I do 20 years ago? You know, like I didn't have a book, you know, I didn't have iNaturalist, you know what I mean? And I think about how many times I just went out to see what would be out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like field herpers don't really share their spots for multitude of reasons. And, you know, it's sort of a lot of secretive stuff. And, you know, not now it's different, I guess, with YouTube videos and stuff. But like you don't have to travel far, you know, I mean, you can just go in your own backyard and find some cool stuff. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I mean everything from, like you said, moon phases and, you know, times of the year to, I just flipped through this one, successfully navigating encounters with law enforcement.
Right.
Like, like don't trespass. Read your wildlife management area brochures when you get them from, you know, the ranger check station, you know, and just enjoy nature. I love it. So the Field Herping Guide, Finding Amphibians and Reptiles in the Wild.
Great book.
Nice.
Sorry, I stole that one from you, Eric.
No worries.
All right, I'm back up. All right, so my next one is, I forget if I've talked about this one before or not. but it is the Barker's write-up. I'm trying to see the date. Back in '96 on the Lesser Sunda's pythons, Timor pythons, whatever you want to call
That's
them.
a good one.
No. Billy Hunt, there is only one name. They are the Lesser Sunda python.
I know, but to reach a further audience, so they know what we're talking about. So it's a pretty short paper. It's only like 5 pages, but it goes into, the taxonomic history, where they're found, obviously in Lesser Sunda, little thing on their husbandry, like going back and talking a little bit about when they would come in the 60s and kind of what they would do. But this basically just, they're talking about, early to mid 90s, they got a group of them in, how they kept them, and then when they bred them, and they were actually successful, a little baby pipping out of the egg there. And they just have all the breeding information and all that. So I'm definitely looking at this paper a lot since I have the Lesser Sundas now and hoping to be successful with them. But it's just so cool to have, a python with, there's not too much out there on them. And like, I looked high and low for information on these guys, and this is pretty much the best I've come up with. Like I mean, even all the books, like there's just like a page. It's like, hey, they're distributed here. Here's where they're found, and good luck. Pretty much outside of that. So I was really happy when I came across this, but definitely wish there was more out there on them. But sure, in time. But yeah, definitely, if you're into these at all, this is something you definitely have to have.
Dan, I have not, but I will have to hunt that one down.
Okay. Did you ever come?
I was unaware that was a book, so.
I guess my next one I'll follow Phil somewhat. So after reading the Field Herping Guide, I went and found this book, Amphibians and Reptiles of Pennsylvania in the Northeast.
Nice.
With it's a pretty thick, and it does a lot of like natural history and distribution maps and all kinds of stuff of just different species, and it pretty much goes down like New Jersey, Maryland, that kind of range. But yeah, there's some cool, timber rattlesnakes are one of my favorites up here, but we have some cool stuff. Eastern hognose. But yeah, it's a cool book. I got it on Amazon. So appreciating your backyard reptiles.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Especially like if you live in the megalopolis and you think, well, I'm in an urban environment. What am I going to find? Like there's stuff there, and it's typically a short drive away,
Yeah, like we have a population of water snakes not too far from here. There's black rat snakes out back. But I think it's cool because when they talk to natural history, when you actually live in the place that they're talking about, you can like really connect it, So, I mean, weather-wise, and
Oh yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too watching the historical spots either disappear or increase. So like you take a book like that and you add it with Google Earth and you add it with iNaturalist, and now you can really get an idea of where some of these things are and where some of these things used to be, where some of these things might be,
Right.
I think books like that are a super great resource. Like I have several books like that are just Florida, and a lot of it's the same cookie cutter stuff, but there's always going to be something in there that might help you in one way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they talk a lot about the pine barrens in there, places like that.
Oh yeah. Smitty, you're up.
I got nothing.
Got nothing.
What about the Bimaculata?
Well, I wasn't sure if that counted since I pretty much talked about it. But
Yeah, throw it
Throw
up.
it up there.
Hold on.
Show
Throw it
us
up,
some
man.
pictures,
Hold on,
man.
let me-
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. You talk it up and then you don't it's like fill with the picture.
All right.
Not delivering.
Jeez.
All right. Stand by.
What's funny is while Justin tries to find that, I was expecting Burke to have a bunch of books. I was expecting Billy to have a bunch of papers, and I only pulled out 3 books, to do this, and I actually pulled one paper too as a Hail Mary. So if I got to run to the house and get more books, I will.
I got plenty.
Billy, how were the pairings that we did when Casey and I were there?
So I am in the panic mode of nothing's going to produce this year phase of the season right now.
Okay.
I'm in that phase.
The OMAC special.
Yeah, right. Usually by now, like I'm already seeing stuff, but since I was kind of out, for a little bit, I'm not as in tune with everything. So maybe it's just me. Like I'm kind of like I'm sure everything's fine. Everything's like I've seen locks, I've seen all that stuff. I'm probably just freaking myself out for no reason. But yeah, we'll see. I think the Novas are doing good stuff. So
Nice, good.
that's always a good thing.
My Mel Nova thinks he's a jag, and he bites me at least 3 times every time I take him out. So
Dude, what is I don't know what you do to your snakes, man.
He's
Nova Guineas don't bite.
I know, man. That's the crazy part. Like the girl is the chillest carpet I've ever had, but the boy, he just assumes I'm giving him food. I mean, I do feed him a lot, so like maybe that's it. But he just assumes if it's warm and it's in my tub, I'm going to consume it.
Did you stuff him in a bag forcefully?
No,
Like
I
you
did. No, I didn't. I did not do that. One time, jeez.
Yeah, Phil is like the roughest guy I've ever seen. Like putting a snake into a bag. I'm like, of course the thing doesn't like you.
Dude,
I'd hate you too.
He
did that to me.
I was super gentle in Tampa. KJ held the bag. I placed the carpets in the bag. I was super chill with your animals, bro.
Yeah, and I saw you like shaking and trembling because you just wanted to throw him in there and grab him by the neck.
No, but no, come on, man. Billy Hunt gives me the old. I was like, hey, man, is this jag cool? He's like, a little. And it's like, okay, now I got to bag this thing. No hook, no tools, no hemostats, no alligator clips, nothing that I'm used to because that's my life. And now I just have to very gently cascade this snake into the bag that KJ's holding. And KJ already knows he's going to get bit, poor guy.
I got a venomous question for you real quick, Phil. Is it hard to transition between the two? Like I'm just sitting there listening to Billy say about, and you say putting it in a bag and not having a hook and all this stuff. Is it it's like you're always thinking like hook and equipment and safety and all that?
Yeah, I burn it in my mind, man. And it's just so I'm very, very good about separating racks and separating enclosures, and nothing is near each other. And obviously all the venomous stuff is locked, but if I'm taking a carpet python out of an enclosure and putting it in a bag, I'm just going to hold the bag open and put it in and call it a day, make sure I don't squish his tail or his head or whatever. And screw you, Casey Cannon. And but venomous is completely different because depending on the species, I'm all right. If I'm going to bag, let's say a medium-sized rattlesnake, I'm going to have 3 bags ready to go because if one bagging scenario doesn't work, I have the other one on standby. So, for example, a medium-sized rattlesnake, I'll get a Rubbermaid trash can and I'll use alligator clips and I'll clip the bag to the rim of the trash can and hope that gravity works in my favor. And I'll place the rattlesnake in the bag with hooks and then use hemostats to grab the bag, fold it over, undo the alligator clips, roll the bag, thin it out, and then add my zip ties or tape or whatever I'm using. If that doesn't work, let's say the snake comes out of the bag, I'll have another bag
on hemostats positioned on the floor, and I'll try and coax the snake along the floor, along like a linear line. And then once the snake's head goes in, then I use a snake hook to kind of close off the bag, and I'll stand on the hook or I'll kneel on the hook, pull the bag tight and twist, and then add my zip ties or whatever I'm doing. So I usually have 2 or 3 different modes of containment for the one snake that I'm bagging, assuming that it's just not going to go the way I want it to. So yes, it feels really good when I can just pick up a carpet python and put it in a bag.
Or spike it into the bag.
I don't spike snakes, man. Jeez. Man.
Oh,
I'm not
man.
the girl from Finding Nemo.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, though. Like, there are certain snakes that I don't usually bag. Like obviously, we have containment vessels for when we're cleaning cages. Some snakes I'll just hold. Some snakes I'll put them around my neck. Obviously, nothing venomous. But, like, the water pythons, they're not used to being in a bag. Like, I'll just usually like throw one over my shoulder while I'm cleaning out their tub. So one day I just wasn't feeling it. So I put them in a bag, and you literally watch the snake look at me like, what are you doing? Why am I in this bag? Like, why would you do this to me? Why would you put me in this bag? Like, I felt so bad for them because I baby the shit out of them. So yeah, can't do that with cobras and vipers.
No.
Well, speaking of Phil, like having a different outlook on stuff, like seeing Phil work with hooks is like he's on another level. Like he's thinking about stuff I've never even thought of. Like I didn't have any training or anything like that. It's just, oh, I can use a hook. It'll, help them not think I'm feeding them, whatever. Phil, I don't know if you remember this, Phil. You were messing with the Ridley eye.
Dorothy Lapis.
And he he takes him out. He's got him on a hook, and then like he had his watch on, and the snake wrapped its tail around his wrist and then kind of in his watch. And as he's holding, the snake and the hook, he's just like, yeah, if this was venomous, I'd have my watch off. I would never let it wrap its tail around me, any of that stuff. And I'm sitting there like, this is all stuff I've never thought of. I'm like, hey, whatever. If it wraps its tail around me, it's fine. Like, worst case scenario, it poops on me,
Right.
But like seeing him work with, anything or with the hook and how he holds things, how he approaches things, it's really interesting. So he definitely has a different approach to everything. So,
well, thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. It's interesting.
Yeah, man, I give you shit, but
I know. It's interesting when going back to like what Eric asked me. I almost have a plan for I have a plan for what I'd like to do with the hooks, and then when I just have the snake,
nope, not going there.
When I have a snake that I don't need a hook, I almost like don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
yeah,
your brain is so.
Yeah,
you can't get bit, so you're always in that mindset, even when you're holding stuff
and I
doesn't
think
matter.
We always tell people when they're first starting venomous stuff is to, buy 2 snake hooks, get like a 30 and a 40, preferably get heavier ones, because if you can use a horrible steel, import hook that's not of craftsmanship, and you can work with stuff with that, once you get like a really nice Venom Life Gear aluminum, you're going to be great, because the weight distribution is completely different. The balance is completely different. It's like training with a really heavy sword, and then you get a katana. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll be that much better. And we always tell people, pick up random stuff around the house. Pick up your couch cushions. Try and pick up your TV remote control. I always tell people that's the ultimate test. If you can pick up your TV remote control with a snake hook, you're in business. Now, don't get me wrong. There's many, many times where I cannot do it, but it's just to get your mind to think differently in that regard. And you can't use your hands, so the hooks have to be an extension of you. It just takes practice and thinking outside the box. So it's not Jedi magic, but twin spot rat snakes of China.
Yeah. This is another paper that Billy sent me because he knows me all too well.
A little bit.
And if my tab would cooperate and I could bring this up, that would be lovely. Come on. Are you kidding me? There we go. All right. So yeah, this is just a paper that talks about the Bimaculata in particular and how they're differentiated from the Diones, and talks about the different variations in them because they do look very similar. I think a lot of papers and stuff you read will say that the ones that come in the country, Bimaculata and Dione get mixed up a lot because they do look very similar and they are very closely related, but there is a genetic difference. There's a different number of chromosomes in the Bimaculata compared to the Diones. But I like this because it talks about the three forms that you see them in, and then it shows you those three forms. So like that's the blotched phase. This is like the blotched and striped, and then this is the striped. The ones I have are cool. Striped. Yeah.
Very cool.
Just breaks down temperament, diet, brumation, all that good stuff, which that's what I've been referencing the most and coming back to this paper and reading to make sure I got everything right. Talks about 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Loafman himself told me, they got to get cold, 8 to 12 weeks. So mine are still in brumation. I warmed everything up, everything else up, but left the Elafe stuff down still. And I'll bring them up next month. And so I'm particularly excited about the Bimaculata. I got those ones from Underground a couple months ago. That ended poorly. So I'm glad I have some more, and that I can hopefully produce my own. So,
yeah, man, that first picture with the map on the cover of the page,
yeah,
that picture's great. Like, I love maps. I mean, I'm obviously a map junkie. We're locality fanatics as reptile people, but it's crazy because nobody realizes how vast China is.
Yeah,
that green section is like the width of Texas. It's crazy.
Right.
Well, it's interesting too because like this is Bimaculata, and then you have Diones pretty much all the way up to Beijing into like Siberia. So I think there's a little bit of overlap in the two ranges, and I think there is some documentation of some intergrades, but they can be tough to differentiate between one another.
Is there any like tall tale signs, like if you manage to get one in hand, that you could really be like, this is this and that's that?
The head pattern, like it says here. So it says in Bimaculata, the head pattern is a V shape with pointed ends, usually very regular. And then the Diones is usually like a U or W shape that widens at the neck. It's one of those things where you do kind of have to see a lot of them just to get the eye for it, but they are very similar looking, but they are different, but closely related.
Awesome.
Go down to the next set of pictures, please, Smitty. Right there. That color scheme is incredible, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not even looking at the pattern or anything, just the...
Yeah. See, that's that W they're talking about with the head stamp, too.
And it has that...
Looks like Warner Brothers.
Yeah, right?
But here it talks about the chromosome difference, too. So Bimaculata have 34, and Diones have 36.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome stuff, man. I hope you get you're successful with him.
Yeah, did you wind up pulling them in from the garage or no?
Yeah, I did, because it's been getting to freezing and slightly below, and I'm sure they can handle it, but I just didn't want to. I put them in my closet, which stays pretty cool still. So it's just gotten so cold that I don't. I'd rather them not go and me not have to worry about hurting them,
right,
or killing them.
And if anything, the closet's more of like an early warm back up, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man.
But this is some pictures of like habitat, which that's surprising because if you listen, so Dr. Messenger was actually on another podcast not that long ago, and he talked about how similar a lot of these areas in China are to like North Carolina, in terms of temperatures and habitat and overall climate. I just thought that was interesting, and that's why China's, in my opinion, China's a severely underrated place in the world for herpetofauna.
Oh yeah,
and it's at the top of my list.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I would love to get out there eventually, and hopefully not get kidnapped by communists.
I like the
I don't wonder if they were
David Eye
flying
out there too.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, those are really awesome.
Those are the like closest relative to the Carinata. They're like this weird in between.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Come on, mouse. Jesus, this thing killing me. Yeah, if you look at them, like the eyes are very similar, the head structure is very similar. They're like I said, this odd, kind of like how the lesser sundas are sort of the missing link between retics and scrubs. I feel like that's a similar thing with the David Eye.
Cool.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah, very, very cool. So I grabbed that paper. My downloaded copy, I can't get it. It's for whatever reason, it's not uploading from my Google Drive. So I went on to archive.org. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with archive.org, if it's a paid paper, you can buy it or request it. But it has a ton of really old stuff. And basically when museums and colleges and things of that sort have old historical documents that are either falling apart or the binding on the literature is degrading, they'll scan them professionally and put them up for free on archive. And I found so much stuff on archive. I mean, I have hundreds of things downloaded, but this particular paper I keep coming back to over and over and over again. I know I brought it up on this show as well as many other shows before. Let me try and get the share up. So this is reproductive and dietary biology of Nephrous and Underwood Asaurus in Western Australia. So this paper is 1990, by the way, year 1990. And it is a complete, forgive the highlighted things. I use the word Nephrous to find it. Excuse me. It covers everything that you would ever think of in terms of what knobtail geckos are eating in the wild and when and what they're breeding. So it goes in depth into testicular development and testicular, sperm production, as well as, ovarian follicle development in terms of the months, the days. And then it gives you graphs for everything. So granted, it's very difficult to translate this into our, Northern Hemisphere world. But I mean, let me just try and zoom in on one of these graphs real quick. It gives you, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like here's Stellatus, Loissimus, Wheeleri. Obviously, this is before Wheeleri and Cinctus, Wheeleri and Wheeleri Cinctus were split up as their own species. But, it gives
That's
you
cool.
months, and it's absolutely incredible. And then, whoa, sorry, too much. And then it goes into the diet. And I think they used like 1,200 specimens to make this paper, which it's kind of morbid, but at the same time, like this is for science, Oh, crap. I'm turning pages. Hold on. There we go. So here we see the stomach contents of multiple Nephrous species. So Levissimus, Laevis, Stellatus, Vertebralis, Wheeleri, and Underwood milli. And these are basically, of all the specimens that they had, these like 10 Levissimus had centipedes, 10 had scorpions, 15 had spiders. And it's crazy, to think what these creatures are eating, stomachs with food, stomachs examined. And without going too crazy, the majority of this stuff is arachnids and different species of cockroach. But you'll also see further in the paper, they go into cannibalism and, which geckos are eating other geckos, whether it be Datella species or even other Nephrous. So super cool paper. I pulled a lot of information out of this thing. Let me try and zoom out to see if we have any more graphs. And it's not that long of a paper, so it's relatively, it's 27 pages in total, but a crap load of good information and good numbers, you know.
Just that feeding chart alone
cool.
is
man.
worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
And like here you have size of gravid adult Nephrous species in Underwood Asaurus and the maximum and mean clutch volumes and sexual dimorphism and maturity. Like, it doesn't get much more vivid and articulated than that. You know, the smallest individual recorded and the month of capture was Asper and Levissimus. Like that, I mean, yes, the data's old, but it's fantastic data. So
That's awesome.
There's a lot of cool stuff on archive.org, and just this paper. I've just used this paper so much for Knobtail stuff. So figured I'd show it off.
Yeah, just another example that an old paper still has valid information.
Yeah, man. Dude, just like the Sunda paper and the Maclots paper, like, yeah.
You have to send me a copy of that, Phil. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you the link to the. If I can't get mine to upload, it may have got corrupt or whatever because it was on the Google Drive. But we'll I'll get it to you and I'll get it to Nipper.
Are you up, Billy? Billy is up.
All right, so I've already talked about the information that I had with carpets before the book came out. I've talked about the Wilbur propagating carpet pythons. That thing's amazing. Caponetto's write up on them. One that I forgot about, but was one I looked at just as much. It is Will Leary's paper or write up that he did on stuff. So his rediscovery, the
nice
carpet python, yeah, the older one. So what's funny is I actually printed out so much stuff I didn't have any more black ink, so I had to do this whole one in orange. But because I think it was like 2006 when I printed this out, so I was trying not to get in trouble for wasting all the ink in like a day. But basically this thing, like, it's some of the information is a little dated, but you know, it talks about the different subspecies that we recognized back then. I think at one point it says tigers are codominant.
Yeah.
You know, which is, you know, it's funny looking back and, you know, before we realized how it worked and stuff, but it just goes into oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Maybe probably can't with the glare, but it says, you know, oh, it's codominant, but you know, it's got a lot of good information, and it was basically part of between this Will Bird's write up and Caponetto's write up. Like, those were, at least to me, the Bibles before the Bibles came out, if you will.
Me too. Yep.
Yeah. You know, I think
100%.
Yeah, we all kind of lived the same life during that time period with the information we had. But I mean, he went very in depth into, you know, just basic stuff that, you know, maybe a new keeper wouldn't think about. Like, just right here, he has a whole paragraph on, you know, say you get a snake and you don't have a cage, but you have a 10-gallon tank laying around. Like, it wasn't so much, I don't know, it wasn't so much like, oh, you should have. It was just cool seeing somebody being like, hey, it's okay to put them in a 10-gallon tank until you get what you need to, you know, like, they're going to be fine. It's not, you know, shame on you. You should have, you know, this, that, and that. Like, it was written on a more realistic basis than, you know, some stuff can come across. So it definitely made, you know, digesting the information a lot easier, and, you know, just getting into that community as a whole, you know, it kind of helped be more comfortable than because some stuff can be a little preachy, and this definitely wasn't that. So, and just some of the pictures that he has too, and here, like Eric, I'm sure you remember a lot of them, but like that IJ,
that pop one,
yeah. So I still say IJ. Sorry,
IJ. Yeah,
old habits die hard, right?
I have
shame on
animals
you.
from that snake.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Of course he does. I gotta get up there and see what you're hiding, man, because I know you're hiding something. And then that one, the GQ stuff.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
Yeah, you probably have that snake, Eric, I'm assuming.
Well, I have no, but I do have the GQM pen stuff came from that, So
yeah. Oh,
still got that.
Yeah. And of course the black and white integrated diamond.
Billy, I have to send you. There's a link I have, right, and it's all the pictures from his website. It's like this
please.
website that's out. Then it's like so many IJ, so much IJ stuff. It's pretty cool.
So real quick, so that was that one. I just figured I'd throw this one out because I honestly don't know if it's still out there or not. But I tried to get every bit of information I could about carpet pythons before I got my first one, and actually
A rare
had the
thing
date
these
on
days.
it.
Yeah, what a freak.
Yeah, right. I actually printed this one in April of 2006, but it was Justin's write-up he had on his website.
Yeah,
where he
Jungle
talked about
carpets,
the
right?
he talked about the hide boxes he had, where it was like plywood and it had the different levels, like just below the basking spot, so they could pick where they wanted to be and all that. Like, just stuff like that always stuck out to me. But yeah, I guess I've always been a information nerd if I got into something, and I like to think I have everything on carpets, but who knows at this point. But
is there ever such a thing as too much data, though?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I got plenty of binder space, so definitely fill it up. But yeah.
Well, it's cool to know that I wasn't the only one that was printing out website articles and stuff.
No, I got all that stuff, and like I was telling you, I had to do it in different colors because I couldn't do it all in black, so just everything I could find.
Well, that's also that's a trick that I picked up from Billy, was like, if you find a website or something with good information on it, like copy that information and save it in a document or something in case that website disappears.
100%. Yeah.
Like I did that with the ganyasoma.org stuff. I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon, but I have it all.
Yeah, that's what this whole binder is all the ganyasoma.org stuff.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because that information was completely lost for like almost 10 years before they, decided to start that website and stuff. So very fortunate we got that information back, because the stuff that Freight, put out for his thesis was incredible, like from establishing imports, medicating them, breeding them, how he kept them, the different ways he tried stuff, making the hybrids, everything he did, it was definitely before it's time for that species.
You should have invested in ink printer ink stock.
Yes, I've definitely spent a good amount on that.
It's worth every drop.
Oh yeah.
I still need to get that Old World Rats book. If that copy is still online over in Sweden or Germany or whatever, I need to grab it.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Bobby Pebble sent it to me. Yeah.
It's nice to have friends in low places.
Yeah. My book is this, Dragon Traders.
Yeah.
I love the history of the hobby.
Book.
This book is awesome. I highlighted some parts that apply to us. There he goes, the Okati South Carolina, Jasper County. The Philadelphia Reptile Exchange with Molt, where that was up in Jenkintown, which is literally like 15 minutes from me. Used to be down the street from Owen and all
That book was so thorough. It was really impressive how much Birder put into that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The National Breeders Expo, jungle carpet from LASIK. It's just full of so much cool stuff, all different reptiles, everything you can imagine. It's just a great book.
I can only imagine what corners, like dust-covered corners of the internet and other literature he had to dig through to get some of that information. Because we're talking, it starts out in late 1800s or something like that. It goes far back, like beginning.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine being a herper back then? And
when people were going to the Okeechobee Hunt Club, hell yeah, man, that would be awesome.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, imagine being back then where we get shunned now, and it's fairly common to have a pet reptile. But back then, man,
buy an alligator for 5 cents and get it mailed to you.
Yeah, exactly. Pony Express.
Just so much cool stuff. So much cool stuff. But that's a great book.
Well, it was really cool too to read that, and then when we were out in Texas, see a lot of the same places and my area with corn snakes and the history behind it and stuff. I find that stuff just really cool. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I was talking to Phil last night about the Everglades because I stumbled upon this video of this guy herping the Everglades, and I was asking him if it was, similar to where he goes or similar to the type of thing. Like if you see Texas, you see the cuts, you automatically know, I was, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for me, if you can visualize it and see it, and then you hear about it, it means more. So it connects the dots for me. So to hear them talk about that and then hear you talking about, Jasper County right by your house or whatever, you can go there. And I don't know. Me
and Jake cool have stuff. Big plans to go cruise out there when it starts warming up. So
that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
So cool.
So I don't even know where I found this. It was in a folder in my Google Drive. It is like a brief paper on treating respiratory disease in snakes.
Very interesting.
From a veterinary conference in 2012. Just talks about different
viruses at all, or no?
I don't know that it does. I think it's mostly talks about parasites and they call it pneumonia in this, but it talks about rehydrating the snake and isotonic fluids and vitamin A and C for the mucous membranes, and therapeutic doses can be easily administered with rehydration fluids. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't know where it came from. I just had a folder that said papers, and this was the only thing that was in it. I don't remember who sent it to me or where it came from, but it's pretty good. Just brief. Like I said, 3 pages, but
yeah, it gives you just the goods.
It just talks about interesting stuff. Like this one, it says products containing ginseng and echinacea are frequently used in the pigeon racing industry and are claimed to be beneficial in boosting the patient's immunity. There's just stuff that you don't think of, vitamin A and C or something that we don't really put a lot of thought of, and especially in herps. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just thought it was cool. Thought it was interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a good one, man.
And then, awesome. Of course, I'm going to be that guy, and this will be the last one I have, but the mice cutting paper that no longer exists, but I saved it.
I was hoping you would actually show it.
I saved it.
Good.
So these are some of the figures from it that shows. So these the gold bars here, and these colored lines are the animals that got cuts on the mice. This is from a sample size of corn snakes. I don't remember the exact size of the sample. It's in the paper. I have to actually read it. But these are the animals that didn't get cuts in this red line here.
Well, we can't see it, bro.
Oh. Whoops. Let me switch it. I love talking to myself and showing myself pictures. Yeah, so
Oh, nice.
red line, they got no cuts. These are these other 3 lines, they got varying degrees of cuts. So some got 3, some got 4. You see that right here. No
Wow.
cuts, 2 cuts, 3 cuts, 4 cuts. And the sample size was small, but here we go. Yeah, so group 1 was 4 superficial perforations over the dorsum. Group 2 was 2 perforations, 1 superficial, 1 deep extending into the thorax. Group 3 was 2 superficial perforations over dorsum. Number 4 was the control with no perforations at all. And this talks about the weight gain over time. Total weight gain in percentage. So group 1 saw an increase of 329%. Group 2 was 318. Group 3 was 305. And then group 4 was 203. And then it talks about length gain. There's about a 20% increase from 141% in group 4 to 163% in group 1. For those that are listening and not seeing it. And then as far as weight gain, this was interesting too, because group 4, they saw a gain of 0.45 grams, and then group 1 saw 1.04 grams.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, it was a small sample size, and that was kind of some people's main sort of thing when I talked about it. You know, they were like, it's not a very big size, but I think the numbers and the charts really,
Yeah,
that's such a dramatic difference between at least the group with the control group and everything else. It's kind of hard to argue that too. You know, this is a showing the number of feedings and the weight gain over that period of time, and it's
This is corn snakes, right?
Yeah, this is corn snakes.
And do they mention how big the sample size was or no? I mean, just out of curiosity.
Let's see. And I don't know why it got deleted. I don't know if she maybe just deleted that Google account or something. But I saved the text of it, so this had the different charts and stuff in it. Okay, whatever, Google. Materials and methods. Total of 32 corn snake hatchlings from 4 clutches were enrolled in the feeding trial.
All right, so it's not that small.
Right. It's not massive. It's not 2 snakes either, you know?
Yeah.
It says members from each clutch were randomly assigned to 4 groups to minimize weight gain differences caused by variable genetic influences between the clutches. A total of 8 hatchlings containing members from all 4 clutches were assigned to each group. All hatchlings were housed under identical conditions in individual cages and provided with absorbent paper bedding with hide, water dish, and even temperatures. Average 82 degrees. And controlled day-night ambient light cycling.
Awesome.
So, if anybody wants this, I can send you the link to it. I sent it to Lori Torini the other day because she was asking about it. Because we had a video on our old YouTube channel where I talked about this study and talked about what I did, you know, what I do with my animals as far as the cuts. And I uploaded that to this YouTube channel, so that is on there if anybody wants to go see it. I don't know. I mean, I'm of the opinion it's like it takes 2 seconds to make some cuts in the mouse. I do notice the snakes seem to digest them way faster. Like that lump is gone within 48 hours, typically, on most of my babies. I think with chondros and stuff in particular, it really helps them get through the fur and stuff too, especially on, you know, hoppers and small adults. I typically do the cuts closer to the tail, the base tail, because when they squeeze it, I have had a few where it got really messy. But yeah, it's from 2018 is when it says it was revised. And it was from Connie Hurley.
And this was specifically on neonates growing up, or was there anything done with like adult snakes?
No, I think this is all hatchlings.
Okay.
But I do. I mean, I have a hunch that I think it really does help females though too, especially if you're breeding. It helps them get more out of each meal as well.
Yeah.
And it's less work on their system to get it digested. So.
Excellent.
I don't know. I thought that was something Joe Phelan talked about on his show, you know, years ago. And after looking into it, I was just shocked. And it was like, how come nobody knows about this? You know, it's so simple. And then y'all had someone on NPR a while back that mentioned doing the same thing, but they just did it because they noticed a difference, not because they had seen the study. It was completely irrelevant, you know. They were
Right.
talking about somebody. It was one of the older guys that was doing it.
I don't remember.
But
Yeah, I'm eager to do it with the wrinkles because I've been feeding them live, and they're finally starting to show interest. And they're not taking it from tongs, but they're eating, fresh kill that I put in there. And once I get them on frozen thawed fully, I'm 100% doing cuts on everything, just because they don't digest that fur. They just they're not totally designed to be exclusively rodent eaters, and the majority of the stuff I give them is going to have fur. So I think it will help a lot. I know it'll help.
I mean, like I said, it takes 3 seconds to do, so it's not like it's anything extra labor intensive.
Yeah.
It
Right.
whether it really does benefit or not, I mean, why not? It may be a little messier if you have a species that just squeeze the ever living shit out of it, but
Savu pythons.
yeah. I've had some chondros that really made a mess of some of them. That's why I cut them closer to the base of the tail, where there's less gut and stuff that I have to worry about popping out. And covering them in blood.
Right.
Oh yeah, super cool.
I keep saying I'm going to try and recreate or try and do something similar with stuff that I hatch out, but it never seems to happen that way. I just at some point I'm gonna do it though.
Yeah, I think it's also tough too because you have to really do it correctly for your own study. You got to have a decent sample size. You can't do it with like 5 snakes. You know what I mean? So even if you got like a full, like the biggest corn clutch you ever had, you'd have to save all your babies.
Right, and that's kind of the issue because I was originally doing it with that first clutch of chondros, and then they started going out to other places and stuff. So I think with them in particular, especially when you're dealing with smaller babies that are a little tougher to get going, like Alterna, like chondros, like Antaresia. I think that kind of stuff does really help give them that boost to get them up to bigger size meals to where they're getting more out of it, and it's not just pinkies, little blobs of goo. And I think it's like I said, the extra work is almost non-existent, and you might get all the benefit from it. So it's something to at least think about and try. And I do it for all my animals, adults and babies alike. So
yeah, and I think also too is some people that may listen to this. There's a lot of people now holding back their stuff for 6 to 8 months, if not longer, just to either make a decision as to what they really want to keep, or just to make sure that the animals are good to go before they fly out, so to speak. So I think that more people should at least try it with, if you're going to keep it for 6 months, it couldn't hurt to jot that stuff down and really keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Well, that was the other issue too with the chondros, was like weighing them weekly and finding the time to.
Yeah.
Like I got lazy at some points and didn't weigh them, 1 week and then weighed them the next, and that kind of skews things. And I wasn't trying to make it super scientific or anything like that, because I feel like with the results and numbers like that, you can be inconsistent with the measurement of it and probably still see similar results. I wouldn't be like an official scientific study where I'd be writing a paper about it or anything like that. It would just be more or less anecdotal, but I'd have a spreadsheet that shows more or less the same results, just with chondros or corns myself or bears, whatever.
Yeah, and just like Billy does with his neonates and having feed charts and shed charts, it would just be something more to add to the individual specimens, portfolio, so to speak. I think it also is easier when you have something like a baby chondro, because let's say you've got a bunch of specialty enclosure design like arboreal cradles or arboreal perches. You could just take the whole perch out and have another perch that you zeroed out on the scale, put the whole perch on the scale, and it's not that big a deal. It's a little more tricky if you're doing a squirmy snake and have to shove it in a deli cup or something.
Right.
Well, not shove it, Billy Hunt. I know.
Whatever you got to do, man. No judgment, man. No judgment.
Just shove them in there.
I mean, I did a similar thing with
You just
Crested.
take the nicest Morelia and turn it into a demon.
Yeah.
The female's still chill, bro.
How about that Tannenbar though?
That Tannenbar is a godsend.
Just like that trinket I got. Thing's a corn snake.
Exactly. The sweetest, calmest trinket you've ever
Anyways,
had.
Phil, what do you got? What's next?
I got one more paper I pulled out of my wrinkles hat just because I figured
that trinket snake, by the way.
It's cool, man.
So this paper
It's the
is
coolest one I got.
It is, dude. It's so chill and it's pretty. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
All right. So this next paper, this is actually this gentleman, Graham Alexander. It's his thesis for his doctoral, and it's thermal physiology of Hamacatus hamacatus and its implications to range limitation.
I like it.
So obviously I like Rengals, and they're extremely unique species. It's 170 pages because he's got to follow the thesis template. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure if I go to like the 60s, there's some graphs.
It's double space too. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically what he's doing is he's showing people that the temperature of the ecosystem obviously directly affects the animal's core temperature as well as their surface temperature, but it also shows the range in which the species can thrive and survive. I think it was in like 62 or 64 maybe. What's this? This one's a little difficult, but this one's basic body temperature in relation to the temperature outside, and you can kind of see that it basically stays with it. And I always show that one Tyrone Ping picture of the Rengals basking in snow, and obviously there's extreme circumstances, but this one I really like. This is probably my favorite one. So this one is the time ratio in relation to temperature, and then you'll notice on this particular middle one.
Can you zoom in on his one?
Yeah, on this particular middle one.
Show me the money.
Can you guys see that better?
Yeah.
So dotted line is external and the solid line is internal. And you can see how it retains the core temperature despite being an ectotherm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's wild.
I'm not good with Celsius and Fahrenheit conversions, but you can see the peak times of day, the low times of day. And I mean, I know that he did a bunch of field studies, but most of this data was from animals in captivity. And he was really, really articulate as to how the animals were set up in terms of their bedding and everything else. Which one was this one?
That was like 30, like the baseline roundabout was about 35 degrees, right? Celsius?
Yeah, I think so.
That's 95 Fahrenheit.
Yeah. We'll go back to that one that I like with the dotted line. Actually, I just passed it. That one. Yeah, the base I would say is about 35. So, I mean, and you can, I have to look and see.
Or no, 25. I'm sorry.
He does basic times of the year, and it goes through seasons and stuff. But
it's about 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
But the paper is interesting because 77, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give or take.
Okay. So it's also interesting because obviously he's using animals in captivity. He's also using animals in the wild, but the range is so diverse in terms of the landscape of the ecosystem. Is you've got arid steppe land that reaches temperatures in excess of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you drive 3-4 hours south and there's snow on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. So a lot of this stuff was super interesting, at least to me, because I'm addicted to the species. But this just goes to show you, scroll on ResearchGate, scroll on archive.org, and just, type in just the genus name of one of your favorite species, and you will find something awesome out there. And if you don't, well, crap, that gives you reason to try it yourself.
Well, it's also nice to know now that Loafman told us, when you have to pay for a paper, that's not going to the person who wrote it. That's going to the host site.
Yeah.
And so if you want the paper, you just hit up that person that did that study. And he said most of the time they're more than willing to give it to you or send it to you. I don't feel as bad pirating scientific papers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
I've found a lot of stuff on different herpetological journals that are out there. And a lot of their older stuff is archived, and you can just go on and check out the PDF of it and stuff. And I found tons of stuff on tons of species that so if you go looking in the right places, you can find just about anything on any species.
Yeah, it's been interesting digging, because you find stuff that you were looking for, you find stuff that you weren't looking for, and then like Cosmic Octopus, the fucking rabbit holes.
Oh yeah.
Like, didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? And like that gecko paper, it shows how many eat centipedes. Like Stellatus almost entirely eats centipedes throughout most of the year. And then it's like, well, how many different species of centipedes are there in the Null Arbor Plain? And like just going through that and like rabbit hole after rabbit hole. So
yeah.
Yeah, you learn so much more from those scientific papers than you will, a care sheet, a basic care sheet on stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
100%.
Well, you have to be able to read between the lines too.
Well, for sure. But I'm saying, if you're going to do a care sheet, I'm kind of surprised more people don't integrate the information from these papers and sort of bring them together to where it's like, this is how they're naturally built to handle X, Y, and Z, and this is what we should be doing in captivity to accommodate that.
Yeah, but I think that it gets difficult too, because the people in our community are, I hate using the word thirsty, but they want the knowledge, right? They want the insight, they want the points of view, they want the opinions, they want the scientific data. But there's a lot of our hobby that is not necessarily part of the community, which is not a bad thing, who is enthusiastic about the hobby, but isn't as devoted or diehard as we are. So, my one friend manages a pet shop that has all different stuff: dogs, cats, birds, reptiles, fish. And I ask, you guys carry a lot of cool reptiles because, they like reptiles. I said, how many people ask who bred that chameleon or who bred that snake or where those fish, were farmed? And it's zero. None of them even think to ask it. They get the, Zoomed or Exoterra, basic, care sheet, or they downloaded a care sheet from, Billy Bob, whomever on the internet. And it says, you put the heat lamp here, you put the water bowl here. If you have UV, you put it here. You change the sand once a month. You scoop it with the kitty litter scooper, and you're done. And that's how you take care of a leopard gecko. And
what if you took it a step further and we had people that were integrating that information to where that became sort of the baseline or the standard, where it's like,
sure,
this is why you need to do this. Like, this is the reason we're saying this is why you should have 186-degree hotspot for an Aki, or, this is why UV is important for Connexus, or, all that
stuff. Sure. But I think it also comes down to, if a, middle-class parent is purchasing a, $200 or $300 bearded dragon setup for their $50 bearded dragon, which is great, I don't know if they really want to learn that stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, you wouldn't even have to necessarily include the whys, but just be like, here's what you need to be keeping at, and it's like, if you want to know this information, awesome, but this is, I don't know.
Yeah, sort of like breaking down the natural history, but in a way that, the reason that you put it at this temperature is because it's in the outback of Australia that, gets to temperatures, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. But don't you think that like more and more people are trying to keep, especially those type of keepers where they're keeping one or two reptiles, don't you think that they're going more of the route of naturalistic looking and like really decking it out to where maybe they would be interested in that? You see that changing at all?
Yeah, but I feel that they want to do it for the aesthetics of their home, not necessarily for the animal or because it's better for the animal per se. And again, I'm generalizing, and I don't want to insult. Yeah. I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm just trying to think rationally.
No, just having a conversation.
Yeah. I've just seen, working in pet shops for a long time, I've seen the parent that's like, hey, my kid wants a pet snake. What's a good snake? Oh, well, here's a corn snake.
Here's a berm.
Well, not anymore. But here's a corn snake. It's a great snake. It doesn't get too big. It very rarely bites. Oh, it bites? Well, anything with a mouth can bite. But this snake's going to bite?
No, the odds of it biting you are very unlikely, but everything with a mouth can bite. And they kind of let that one, they brush that one off. And then it's, well, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. You're going to do this. Well, I thought you said this was going to be easy. And it's like, granted, those aren't our people. Those aren't
not a goldfish.
You know, but I feel like, where am I going with this? I feel that if you give them too much, you'll almost scare them away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that's why the basic care sheet with the cartoon drawing of the rectangle with the dome on top and the circle on the bottom as a water bowl, I feel like that's the only reason why it's still here, is to not scare people off. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking about doing like the old switcheroo of like being more specific with, you know, temperatures or whatever, for example, to where it's like not just some blanket of like put a 60-watt bulb on them and you're good to go. Instead being like, this is what you're shooting for. You don't necessarily have to tell them why, but it's like,
yeah,
this.
Okay. Yeah. And I've thought about that too, of keeping a basic sheet on page 1. And then they realize that there's more than one page to this pamphlet. And then they go to page 2 and 3 and 4, and it's more and more natural history or more advanced husbandry for that species. Should they decide that they want to be curious and read more about it.
Yep.
My trouble with the care sheet has always been that, you know, I think that it gives people a false sense of security in that if I do A, B, and C, I don't have to worry about anything because I'm doing A, B, and C. And meanwhile, the reptile is just going downhill in front of you, because I think Rob talked about it last week with you guys about the diamond python thing in Colorado, why it worked, as opposed to, you know, trying to replicate it in Pennsylvania. It's not going to work because Colorado's weather is way different than Pennsylvania. So, you know, I don't know. It's tough to not. Yeah, it's just tough. But that's always been my gripe with care sheets, is that it doesn't. I guess from doing NPR for so long and talking from people all over the place, you just realize that there's so many different ways to keep, and a lot of it has to do with where you're at.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I don't want people to think that I'm anti-care sheet or that I'm in-depth care sheet.
No.
I just know that there's a lot of people that won't jump on that bandwagon, and it's sad to think about that, you know?
I don't know. I did a
it's a starting place. It's not it's not the end of your research. It's just, okay, I'm getting the gist of it. I need to do more on the back end.
I think about when I bought my first carpet python. I bought it at a pet shop. I had no idea about lineage, jungle, coastal. I didn't know any of that. I just saw, wow, that's a cool looking python.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a jungle carpet python. Turns out that it wasn't, but you know, that's how it sold to me, and I was like, okay, cool, you know. And then trying to find information on it, and you know,
you went on a Facebook group and said, "Can anybody tell me what kind of carpet this is?"
Well, there was no Facebook back then, but yeah.
What's my carpet?
Maybe MySpace was.
Yeah. What was the carpet? If it wasn't a jungle,
it was like a diamond jungle coastal mix of. It was a cool looking python for sure, 100%. But
it was just all of them.
The Mega Morelia.
But then you start realizing that there's other, you know, oh shit, there's subspecies. I didn't, you know, and then you, to your point earlier, it's like you just go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're learning about, you know, the prey and the you know, just.
Yeah. Every time I do a show, I get reminded how confusing carpets can be for people that aren't like into it, you know, or haven't been following it as long.
I would say just snakes in general, man. Anything that has a morph or a locality.
I think the struggle with the python part of it, probably what you're going to say, Billy, is like you have this. A lot of those people are coming from ball pythons, which is a single species. You know, you can mix this, that, you know, and it doesn't matter because it's still Python Regis. Whereas with, at least that's what confused me. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Oh yeah, the subspecies stuff. Yeah, that's what gets people. I go around the table. I'm like, these are coastals, these are jungles, these are IJs, these are this, these are that, and you just see their eyes just glaze over.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Shit,
I
I
just want
still
to
feel that way about rat snakes. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, what?
Well, let me ask you, Billy, like Tampa show, you I remember you were with that dad and his two daughters, and they were to the moon and back with how much information you gave them, because they were herpers in the making. You know what I mean? It was amazing to watch you be able to help them to build the foundation of their snake journey, right?
Yeah.
How many people come to you with the carpets specifically, and they think that, you know, bumblebee ball is its own species of python, opposed to, like, you know what I mean? Did that make sense?
Like, they don't see it as a morph, they see it as its own
Right, like
thing.
they don't realize that a morph is a morph of an existing species. They think that they're all different snakes.
I've seen that on Craigslist.
Yeah. Usually the people that are like in that realm, they usually don't even know what a carpet is.
Okay.
You know, like they'll be the ones that come up and, hey, what kind of ball pythons are these? What kind of boas are these?
Yeah.
And then, then I give the little rundown, whatever. If they'll listen, sometimes if I'm like, oh, they're carpets, and they're like, oh, okay, thanks. I always hear about, I don't know if you've heard this, Eric, but there seems to be this one adult pair of jungle carpets that's in every pet shop that just makes everybody hate carpets. Like, everyone that tells me that carpets get big, they're mean, it always goes back to a pair of jungles in an old pet shop that they used to go to. I'm like, man, is it the same pair that these people, like, I've probably heard that. I've probably heard that story at least, 6 or 7 times doing shows. And
that's the first snake I bought, was that exact thing. This big, huge,
well, that's
supposedly jungle carpet that
for
just bit the shit out of you.
For years, I stayed away from coastals because I don't remember where I learned this, but coastals were the ones that get 10, 11 foot, and they were the ones that were going to eat you out of house and home. And, oh man, that's too much snake for me. I'll stick to, the other subspecies. But
well, again, I think that has to do with, and I didn't really, again, connecting it when I'm seeing it. It's like when you visually go and see wild carpets, it completely changes your whole opinion of how they are and what we have in the United States. And just like, we're looking at a natural history book that's talking about coastal carpets that's found in the range where they do get that big, and that's not what we have in the States.
They're the exception, not the rule.
Right.
Correct. I mean, you're seeing probably, down where Scott's at and stuff, you're seeing carpets that could possibly get that size. He's always showing pictures of these coastal carpets with these huge meals that are, ate somebody's pet dog or something.
Yeah.
Well, even if you're following the snake catcher guys and stuff, like you see all the carpets they're finding, and it's pretty infrequent that you see one that makes you go, wow, that's a big ass carpet. All of them seem pretty standard.
Yeah.
But granted, that could also be just that area that they're working in,
I was surprised at the size of the Darwin carpet that we saw. I was surprised at how big that was. Yeah. I really was surprised.
I think it was probably my first trip to Billy's house when he showed me some of his larger breeder female coastals. And I was like, oh, all right. So this is, I can deal with this, because I never really messed around with coastals at all, other than like babies, maybe yearlings. I never kept them. And then I go to Jake's house and he has Popwins females that are his breeders that are twice the size of Billy's coastals. I'm like, wait, this is backwards. you know? So,
well, that was me and Owen in the early days of NPR. He kept his snakes huge. I mean, they were humongous. He did have a 10-foot coastal carpet python. I mean, the thing was humongous. And, he didn't know. He just fed it. He fed it what the care sheet said every week, The thing was huge. It's like a 42 egg clutch that it would lay.
Good gosh.
Wow.
That's insane.
And for the longest time, I kept my carpets, like I fed them, but they stayed on the smaller side. And it wasn't until I started getting stuff from Nick where he would send me like his breeder this, breeder male this, or breeder male that, and you'd get it and you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm doing it right, So
yeah, man.
Yeah, when I got in, I purposely got a male IJ because I was nervous about the sizes I was seeing, and then of course I'm in Daytona one year and I see it was like a 8-foot, 9-foot jungle that this guy was just carrying around. Gorgeous snake, but just the size of it, and I wasn't used to being around pythons that big. It definitely was like, okay, that's a little much. Let me stick to my 4 or 5 foot IJ, so they won't get bigger. But as time went on, I realized that a 6-foot python and a 7-8 foot python, there's really not that much of a difference.
Right.
Like, and once you get more comfortable with them and stuff. So, but I kind of like what Phil was alluding to. I don't really make my stuff that big anyway.
Yeah.
Really no reason to. I couldn't imagine having a 10-foot one in here. that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
All my big snakes, like the bigger ones, I got them as adults, and it was more, I got the box and then I open it up because I'm like, this is kind of heavy, and then I open up, I'm like, holy shit. Like, all right, I guess I got this thing now. Kind of the picture was a little skewed, I guess.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Well, boys, is there anything else we want to cover tonight?
I don't have anything.
No?
I'm good. We can stop here.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
I thought tonight was a good night, guys.
Yeah.
It was
Thanks for
fun.
having me.
Always a good night.
Yeah, I'm glad Eric got to join in. It's awesome.
I get to talk to the Podfather twice in 1 week.
Oh shit.
Man. I know, right? I made it.
The
Good
Darth
stuff.
Yeah, that was
Lab is school for kids who can't read good.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get more books for the next one.
Yeah, this just means now I got to buy more books.
I know, right?
Damn it.
Yeah, Eric put me on the spot in the episode, and just out of the blue, he's like, "So, what book are you reading?" I was like, "Damn it, Eric. I'm not reading one."
I told you I don't know how to read.
Yeah,
This
I
one.
should have known this was coming.
This is the
there
one.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry-alls.
Told me about that one for I got to get that one.
Telling you, that's a good one.
Awesome.
All right. This was episode 106 of Snakes and Stogies, which is brought to you by Puget Sound Pythons and BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, both of them, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Give them a follow. If you need a cage, you need a rack, you need to talk to Jen and Clint at BlackBox. They make some awesome stuff.
Here.
A++.
And they have some cool stuff coming out soon. Jen sent me those pictures and really cool stuff. Constantly evolving, constantly adapting. I like it.
They are very open to ideas, and like there's something you're looking for, like a design in mind. We talk about stuff like that a lot. So
you're saying I should go there to get the Aki cage and the pin cage?
yes.
Okay.
Couldn't hurt.
Very good.
And they have those hide boxes that they're very rudimentary, but the sky's the limit in terms of what you could do with them. In terms of using them as a shelf or using them as like a frame to sculpt some naturalistic vivaria around it. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. All right, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be back Thursday for THP 149, I think. So it'll be fun.
Rock and roll. Don't forget to check out Venom Exchange Radio. I almost forgot the name of my own show. Jeez. Venom Exchange Radio. It's on everything. Go look at it. Watch
When's
it.
the next episode coming out?
It's already done.
Stop teasing us.
it's just difficult, man, because we're trying to record as much as we can, but
It is hard, ain't it?
Dude, it's so hard, and like trying to get together with you and Nipper
The
and
gecko thing, yeah, man.
gecko thing, like it's just been rough with schedules and people's work and people getting sick and everything else. So, and it's difficult because a lot of the guests that Nipper and I want to have on, they're almost all international. So getting like the timing right, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm talking to a gentleman in Lebanon who's doing a ton of field herping, and he's like, yeah, I want to get on there. We'll talk about, Caucasian vipers and Middle Eastern stuff, but we'd have to do it between Tuesday and Friday morning, because that's the only time that I'll have electricity, because the government shuts it off. So like trying to get people to talk, there's two gentlemen in Iran who have successfully bred in captivity Naja Oxiana, but the Iranian locality Naja Oxiana, first time ever bred in captivity, and talking to them and trying to translate everything into Arabic has become difficult, but we got some cool things coming, guys. So Venom Exchange Radio, check it out. It's on Google, Apple, and Spotify. So yeah,
it will not disappoint.
It will not disappoint. Next episode is going to be awesome. It's our first guest. We're going to try and do first Sunday of every month. I think that'll be good for right now, and hopefully we'll get to put out more. So yeah.
Excellent.
Good.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Everybody, have a good night.
All right.